So you're expecting Donnie not just to sub in and play. Then he's going to dance and sing in the halftime show, and then you think he's going to be able to. You think at him at his 40-something years, after the halftime show, he's still going to be able to play in the second half. That's optimistic.
He's got the right stuff.
I hope we have a defibrillator on the bench.
Yeah. Once again, bang it out.
And we're live for real this time. Let's go. This is the Dos Padres podcast. I'm Major J. That's Sundance Kid. We're here covering Boston sports and so much more. Sundance, we have got, shockingly, quite a lot to talk about this week, to say the least. So it's packed for me. Take a look at the Pats. They abrupt exit last weekend to the Bills. We're going to do a little review of the season as well as a whole, just kind of get a holistic view of the season with the Pats, take a look on it, reflect, do a little good, bad, and ugly. We're going to be previewing this weekend's NFL divisional round matchups as well. We're going to touch on those. We're also going to be drawing some winners for last week's Dos Padres playoff giveaway on our Instagram account. Very exciting there. Can't wait to pull those out, give some people some goodies, and then we're also going to have a special Celtics Trade Edition of this or that. So jam-packed show. We're going to have some fun. I'd say we've probably been drinking straight through for the last week. So, Sans, what are you sipping on that you've probably been drinking nonstop since last weekend with the Pats game?
Sure. So for me this evening, I am hosting Jungle Crush, and that is brought to you by City Steam Brewery, famous for the Naughty Nurse beer, which is probably their staple. But I'm doing Jungle Crush this evening. It is a bit bitter for me. Listen, I saw the can. It's super colorful. I thought, that's probably going to taste like Skittles and gummy bears. And it never does. It's never that sweet. So that's what I am fighting through this evening. How about you, Major J?
So I am actually sipping on, it is from Amherst Brewing.
Ooh.
Toasted coconut cream coffee porter.
Wow, that sounds phenomenal.
In collaboration with Shelburne Falls Coffee. Brewed with malted oats, chocolate malt, and Shelburne Falls coffee roasters toasted what? Coconut cream, whatever. I can't read.
Do me a favor, Major J. Hold your glass up to the screen, and you can see mine's that bright one, and you can see yours is that dark brown one. I'll be honest with you. I am really finding myself more on the side of the porters and the dark ales lately than the bright hoppy ones. I'm not afraid to say that they are just easier to go down and more flavorful. So I'll be moving over to that this weekend. All
right. You're like that crazy old guy in the commercial. You want a dark beer,
son? You want a dark beer?
Yes, made with goat's milk.
Made with goat's milk. Sheep shopping.
Dark beer.
All right. So that's what we're sipping on. Good stuff. We'll make sure to tag Amherst Brewing Company as well as City Steam when we go out on social later. All right. Let's do a quick rundown. What is happening in Boston sports before we jump deep into some Patriots reflection? Yeah. Obviously, nothing going on with the Red Sox. Again, no surprise there. Lockout, et cetera, whatever. Until there's any movement there, there's no point even going down that road in any way, shape, or form.
Well, we've got quickly, Major J. Before we go by that, David Ortiz is on the ballot for Hall of Fame, and it's looking very good for him from everything I see, hear, and read. However, there is one sports writer, Dan Shaughnessy, you may be familiar with him, who has very vocally and very openly said, I'm not voting for David Ortiz. I commented on John Tomasi's article this afternoon on Facebook as he defended Shaughnessy, saying, there's something to be said for someone who stands by their opinions and remains consistent. I got to be honest with you, I think it's the stupidest argument I've ever heard, that because Ortiz has been attached to some innuendo, a New York Times list 20 years ago, that he's just, got the scarlet letter on him. He's not Manny Ramirez. He's not Robinson Cano. He is not Melky Cabrera. He was not caught red-handed and suspended. So for me, that argument means nothing. I hope Papi gets into the Hall of Fame. Wanted to throw that out there quickly.
Yeah, agree across the board. Let's be real. Anytime you say the name Dan Shaughnessy, I mean, you pretty much don't need to say much more beyond that.
There you go.
Typical Boston, for decades, talking head. Take your curly hair, get out of here. We're all set. He does stuff simply to get his name out there, to have his name, his stamp on things. That's who he is.
Yep.
Generally, his takes are garbage anyway. So I do feel like Ortiz will get the vote to be in first ballot Hall of Famer.
Cool.
Oh, all right. Now that I'm riled up, Sundance. So let's get into some. We'll talk a little Bruins overview here real quick. So Bruins update. Not much has changed. 4th in the Atlantic, 8th in the Eastern Conference, 46 points. They have heated up the last week and a half, 2 weeks. They've won 8 of 10. They had a 5-game winning streak until Tuca was blasted for 5 first-period goals Tuesday night against Carolina. Everyone has a night. That's fine. It happens. We'll see how things churn over the next week or two. Willie O'Ree, Tuesday night, the highlight of Tuesday night, far and away. First African-American player in the NHL, had his number 22 retired up to the rafters. Broke through in 1958, regarded as basically the Jackie Robinson of hockey. Big deal there.
Pretty cool.
Bruins have been winning, have been scoring. They've got Washington tonight on ESPN Plus. This is Thursday night. ESPN Plus and Hulu, neither of which I'm going to watch it on, so no clue what's going on there. I think they're in the third period. But you've got Winnipeg on Saturday, Anaheim Monday. They go on a road trip starting at Colorado next Wednesday. That's going to be tough. But we'll see. But this team seems like they're coming around. Tuca's back. Some positive vibes.
I did just get an alert on my phone that Marchand left the game with an upper body injury. That's not good news. I'm really hoping it's a precautionary thing. So we'll have to watch on that. He's the heart and soul of that team.
This show is starting off really well tonight. All right. So it can only go up. All right, cool. Thank you for the update, Sundance. Which, on that note, let's go into some Celtics, which is always positive vibes. So Celtics, still 500 team. Shocked, I know. They're tied for 3rd in the Atlantic, so we've moved up slightly there. 9th in the East, moved up a little bit there. Generally feel like they're playing a little better. They've won 5 of 7. Playing a little more consistent, a little better fourth quarter play. Not saying it's anything to put your hat on, but it's something. We'll take things are looking a little better. C's did just pull off a insignificant trade. Basically, they traded Juancho Hernan Gomez for Bol, who's out for like 3 months with a foot, and PJ Dozier, who's out for the year with an ACL. Basically, it's a luxury tax threshold move to get $2 or $3 million closer to being under the luxury tax. That's fine, whatever. We'll see what else they do. Plenty of rumors, Sundance, you know this, as far as what's potentially happening with on the trade front. Horford's name's out there, Josh Richardson, Schroeder, even though the team will deny that. Marcus Smart, same bucket. All those names have been rumored out there as far as potentially being talked about. Supposedly off limits, though, are Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Time Lord. I find that a little interesting, but okay. And I've heard a lot about stuff potentially with Indiana being a nice partner to kind of match up with, although I don't know what they could do to go out and get any of those guys there. Sabonis, notably, but we'll see. And we're actually going to get into that a little bit more and have some fun with that towards later in the show with our this or that with some Celtics Trade Edition. But any quick thoughts on that before we head into some Patriots review?
Yeah, I got a good chance last night to watch a full game from first tip-off to end of the game against Charlotte, and a couple of takeaways that you can't help but notice. Boy, Jason Tatum, I mean, he couldn't throw it in the ocean last night. And they ended up, they made it close at the end. I mean, they were down by 6 with, probably a minute and a half left. They had been down 12 with 2 minutes to go and cut that down to 6. But Jason Tatum just couldn't even throw it in the ocean last night. Why? Again, he is encouraged to just continue jacking it up when it's not his night. I will never understand. Also, blown away by a team like Charlotte, who is the 5th seed in the Atlantic Conference. They might even be the 6th seed. I mean, the offense that this team has, it really, really smacks you in the face as a Celtics fan, where Scary Terry Rozier, Hayward, you cannot help but go back to the conference.
Kelly Oubre, who likes himself some Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre, I mean, my goodness, you can't help but watch that game last night and wonder what could have been. That said, this is kind of right in line with what I thought the Celtics would do. I even think that they're going to be a handful of games over 500 in the next 2 weeks. I really do. I think they're going to give us a little bit of hope, and then I think it's going to come crashing down. So we'll find out. But a valiant effort last night without Time Lord and Marcus Smart. And what a big surprise. The Celtics could not field a completely healthy team. I don't know if that's the norm these days in the NBA with, like resting guys.
Yeah.
And
It is. I think it's on brand with the rest of the league. It doesn't make it any less frustrating. We've talked about this before, especially Time Lord notably. You've definitely gone on about that as far as health issues and getting this guy on the court and that getting the babying. And it just, again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors and in the injuries and stuff. But after a while, it feels like, okay, not all these guys can always be this hurt all the time. Like they're just like,
right. It's exactly.
Are we just over managing? I mean, these guys aren't 35 plus, whatever. We've been down that road. I completely agree with you. It's frustrating. It is all get out. I will say, to your credit, real quick, you mentioned it before, and you're right. January run, maybe. I mean, it's only January 20th as we record this. So we still got another 10 to 11 days. But, I mean, things at least have picked up this month. They at least looked competent, competitive. And if they make an actual trade for a player that could actually hit the court now, maybe have some fun come spring. But who knows? All right, let's take that as a jumping point into to depress ourselves again. We're gonna talk some Patriots. Cool, little Patriots review. So let's just start off right off the bat. Go for it. Let's just talk about, and we don't need to dwell on it too much, but we can't skip it. Talking about the game at Buffalo last weekend. I mean, where do you start though? Really, with it, that's the thing.
Well, you could start any number of places that Bills fans on social media have reminded us of. Perhaps the string of offensive possessions where they didn't punt a single time. Thank you, Dresco. He's a friend on Facebook. Or you could certainly take a look at the time that we scored a touchdown with Kendrick Bourne with a minute left in the game that cut the deficit to 30, and the fans in Buffalo threw something on the field that shall go unnamed at this time.
Hey now.
Listen, this was House of Horrors. This was. I will say this. My guess is, having been a fan of this team the last 40 plus years, but really the last 20 to where you hone in on Belichick and what he's done. Right. My guess is Belichick privately went into this game absolutely knowing this is what's going to happen. Belichick is too smart. I'm confident that he talked to his coaches before the game and said, if we can't do A, B, C, D, E, and F, this ain't going to be close in the second half. And they couldn't do any of those things. They couldn't play defense. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't make anything happen on offense. Mac turned the ball over. Josh Allen did not. It just A to Z. an absolute drubbing by the Bills. And it just is what it is. You just got to call it out.
Yeah. No, you're right. Defense didn't show up. If you saw Matt Judon, let me know. Which goes right in line with the conversations we've had about him the last few weeks. So that really didn't surprise me per se, but it was on brand for the last month or so.
Yeah.
Mac made a couple mistakes. Buffalo D is opportunistic. I think it was Poyer or Hyde that had the interception over Aguilar.
Hyde.
It was Hyde who had an incredible play. Fooled even the guys covering the game.
Yep.
But opportunistic D, that's fine. Mac made a couple mistakes, and again, Mac played coming from behind. He did as much as he could realistically do. They did come back, score a couple times, but realistically, again, with a rookie quarterback and this offense in general, not built to come back from being down even like 10-14, much less 25 or whatever got when it was with 33-3 or whatever it was at one point. It's like it's not going to happen. Like you can't even. I mean, that would have been historic anyway, but still, not much to really dwell on anymore beyond that. It was just a disappointing game, and it speaks more to, again, they've had some rough late seasons the last 2 to 3 years, like Thanksgiving on, and this just encapsulated the way the last month has gone with this team, and they just fell flat. That's just the direction they've been going in for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, listen, this game was over in the first, call it 6 minutes. You saw Buffalo take the ball, march down the field, and score. You saw the Patriots get the next kickoff, start to march down the field. Brandon Bolden dropped a wide open 30-yard pass. And right there you said, we're going to need every last one of those if we're going to be even competitive tonight. So that kind of tipped you off to the kind of night it was going to be. And then to your point, it's a great point. When Hyde makes that interception and it looks like a surefire touchdown, right there, the game's over. Now, the last one was halfway through the first period the first quarter when the Patriots punted on 4th down. And it was near midfield, and I get it, but somebody had a great line the other day, and they said, this was the Patriots either saying we're going to lose early or we're going to lose late. It was a bad decision, and it was more bad decision. So for me to close this out, certainly the defense didn't show up. Belichick did not coach his best here. He really didn't. There were, down the stretch of the season, there were some 4th downs that you just said, why would you not go for it here? He had no feel for the game, it seemed. And again, I bet Belichick went into this game putting his money on Buffalo by at least 2 touchdowns.
All right, so yeah, let's get into some season review. We can maybe take it on to keep it kind of streamlined. We can maybe do like a little good, bad, and ugly. So we're not going crazy. We can just kind of go down. All right, starting with the good. Good stuff about this season. 7-game win streak. I mean, you can't be a bad team and win 7 games in a row unless you're the Dolphins, but we won't bring that up to Matt Canada.
So what are you trying to say?
Mac, I thought, held his own as a rookie. He didn't disappoint per se as far as what I was realistically expecting from him. Some of our free agent signings were a success. Judon, despite him falling off the face of the earth the second half, I'd still say overall success there. That worked out. Kendrick Bourne, I thought, worked out. Hunter Henry worked out. The O-line, which started off, as we know, pretty shaky to start the season based on a lot of his injuries, etc. But after like a month, that came together, looked really good. And the running back depth. I mean, we've been up with Damian Harris and Ramondre, and even Bolden picked up slack as well. And this is all with James White being hurt. I thought that was definitely a positive, a good for the season. What about you?
Yeah, just building on that, the draft. The Patriots don't always have good drafts. Let's be really honest. Hi, Nikhil. How are you? And so this was a really good draft for the Patriots. You had Mac Jones, of course, front and center. Christian Barmore. Good one. And certainly Ramondre Stevenson. Those are 3 Pro Bowl probably caliber players that I think you could say right now I could see those guys making the Pro Bowl the next couple of years. So you've got to feel really good about that. And you bounce back from last year, which was an absolute disaster. So that's the good for me. Leading into the bad, right? I'll start off the bad.
No, go for it. Yeah.
This is the New England fan in me. I'm just going to wear that badge right here.
Sure.
Judon just completely falling off. And I am absolutely going to chalk it up to a rib injury that was disclosed late, like the week before the playoffs, where he did talk about it on camera. I saw it. Reporter said, "What's it like to play with a rib injury?" And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. How about I punch you in the ribs as hard as I can and see how well you write stories." And listen, and it wasn't with a bunch of venom that he said that. It was really matter of fact, like, "Hey, man, what do you think it's like playing with bad ribs?" So I'm going to say that, but oh my goodness, that just completely crippled the defense. Special teams did not stand out this year, aside from Nick Folk. Gotta give Belichick credit there. But our punt game was meh. And I tell you, our return game, did you know Gunnar Olszewski was all pro second team last year? Or 2020, one of the two. And I think it was last year. Did you know that? Would you have guessed that?
I wouldn't have guessed that. Now that you say it, it sounds vaguely familiar, but if you had asked me, I wouldn't have.
He did. I looked it up and I was shocked. I'm ready to cut the guy. There were times that he brought the ball out of the end zone and got nailed at the 8-yard line. And I'm just like, why? Like You've been in the league 3 years, dude. Like, you've got to know 8-yard line versus the 25. And so for me, special teams, and lastly, penalties. What an absolutely just a completely this was an aberration for Belichick. I have no other word for it. Belichick teams don't commit penalties like this. You watch other games of crap teams and you say, man, it's nice to be a Patriots fan because we don't make stupid penalties like that. And the Patriots had stupid, bad penalties all season. So that's where I would ballpark the bad.
All right. Yeah, no, I some good ones there. I obviously agree across the board. I'll tack on a couple beyond that. Just for me in general, again, this is more second half, but the disjointed defense down the stretch, I thought there seemed to be a lot of it just wasn't there. It wasn't working. I don't know if it was scheme or what it was, and hand in hand with that.
Yep.
I don't know if I don't know if it was caused by this, but going back to the whole fandom situation, the confusion with the defensive coordinator situation between prodigal son, Mr. Nepotism himself, Steve Belichick, and Gerard Mayo. Who's doing what? What's the role? Like, it just, if it's confusing to us as fans, I mean, I have a hard time believing it's not completely confusing in the locker room and in the meeting room. I don't know. The whole dynamic was just very weird. I don't know what that was about, but the defense definitely, as evidenced and culminated in the playoff loss to the Bills, it just came up really short when it needed to really come through down the stretch, and just some free agent signing failures, notably Aguilar and Jonnu Smith, which every team has them. You go out and sign a ton of guys the way the Patriots did. You're going to have some work out, some not. That's fine, but we do have to point out Aguilar was a complete bust, and part of it wasn't necessarily the play as much as it was just the usage. Either way.
Oh, I thought Jonnu Smith was a bigger bust. I was expecting way more from Jonnu Smith. You bring up a good point, though. Aguilar, he got a big deal, too. I just didn't expect it. I didn't expect anything from him. I didn't think he was going to break out here. But Jonnu Smith, dude, was invincible.
I was a big fan of that signing. I was
invisible.
Really
Let me go back. He was invisible. Not invincible, meaning you couldn't stop him, but he was invisible, meaning you just didn't even see him out on the field when he was there. It's terrible.
Who's that guy? Yeah, no, agree. I think so. Which takes us right into the ugly. For me, the ugly, you touched on it already. The biggest thing for me was trying to force value and play out of N'Keal Harry when it just wasn't happening. When you forced it, and the best you could get was a pretty good blocking wide receiver. Come on. Like, to me, that's flat out ugly. And as we saw, and I mentioned it to you the other day, and I was going to bring it up, so I'll post this on Facebook. Going back and looking at the 2019 draft class, N'Keal Harry, pick number 32. Who was picked at 36? Star of the playoffs right now, Deebo freaking Samuel. And you can cherry pick stuff, and I get that. That's going to happen in every draft. But talking about a guy picked 3-4 spots later at the same position, you cannot look at that. That to me, that's pretty apples to apples. Even though they're two different types of receivers, whatever. This team needed a playmaker at receiver. San Francisco got one. We got a blocker 3 years in. And again, I mentioned it before, third season in a row, looking pretty shitty after Thanksgiving. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, especially with, again, it all ended up with that terrible playoff showing against the Bills. To me, that's the ugly. What's your ugly, Sundance?
The ugly is the Bills and Dolphins. Couple teams that really just kind of slapped you in the face. I know the first game of the season, the first loss against the Dolphins, it was we fumbled the ball at the 10-yard line, and we were going to take the lead and maybe win. But listen, Buffalo really punched us in the mouth twice. Miami kicked us, while we were down. That's going to be tough to reckon with going forward. I will say this quickly, though. You bring up a really good point with N'Keal Harry that I don't understand why Belichick hasn't picked up on this, being as brilliant as he is. Football is not baseball. You don't have late bloomers in football. You have late
Right.
bloomers. You have late bloomers in baseball. You have guys that you draft in baseball that you trade for, that you tinker with, you coach them for a year and maybe 2 years, and then, man, it comes together. I've watched enough NFL. I've never played a single down of organized football, including Pop Warner, but I can tell you this. There's no late bloomers when it comes to football. It just doesn't happen in football. You're either going to stand out at a position or you're not, quite honestly. And why they hadn't cut bait, to your point, with N'Keal Harry is just maddening. I hope they don't try to draft a wide receiver. I hope they try to trade for one.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree there. All right, let's stick a pin in that. Pat season over. We are moving on to other things. Before we do, real quick, as you know, Sundance, if anyone's watching us on YouTube, please smash the like button, subscribe, click the little bell thing, turn your notifications on so you don't miss a show. If you're listening on your favorite podcast provider, make sure to rate and review. It helps us tremendously, more than you know. Go out, do it. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so building off of the ugly theme that we just did, we're gonna jump into talking about some NFL playoffs coming up here. But to start that off with, I feel the ugly theme rings true right here. I'm gonna play a little something that you're gonna really enjoy.
San Francisco to get to the quarterback here. Prescott takes off running the football. Whoa, that's just going to work out. It will. They'll be able to clock this. They were playing for it. It's down. Oh, my gosh. The official gets in the way. The game's over. The game is...
Yes, your old friend Mike McCarthy calls a quarterback draw with 14 seconds left and no timeouts to essentially douse any possibility of the Cowboys coming back to beat the Niners. I don't know that I've seen a gaffe like that in quite a while.
That's terrible.
Care to comment, or just let that just speak for itself? I mean,
so listen. It's not going to be long before I am changing my screen name from Sundance to Nostradamus. I correctly called the Celtics, little hot streak here. I correctly called the Mike McCarthy meltdown with under 4 minutes to go. This was with under 14 seconds to go.
Right.
My understanding is that it was Kellen Moore that called the play. My understanding is that McCarthy was on the headset and did not overrule it. Felt like it was a good call.
Well,
My understanding,
they've practiced that.
They've practiced it. You just stole my thunder. It's okay. They've practiced it. It's my understanding. As I'm sitting there watching it, I have to be honest. I say to myself, okay, this might work out. This might work out. Down the ball, just down it, and you get a quick throw. And Dak hands the ball to his center. And it's, as a fan, you can't do that. Like it doesn't quite register, but you're seeing something that doesn't look right. And it didn't. And the ref came in, and sure enough, the time expires. Listen, this was Mike McCarthy at his best.
Imagine as an NFL player, or even as a fan, if your offensive line could anytime they want just decide this is about where it was down. Yeah, let's just go. Back judge, umpire, don't worry about it. I got it.
You stay there. I got this.
Yeah, you're famished from running up and down the field because we're running a high octane offense. Yeah, it was what a debacle. What a freaking debacle. Lone Star Al was on the ground doing the worm, having convulsions, all kinds of stuff. I had to check on him numerous times. He may have hurled himself off the fourth story of his building.
All Cowboys fans, as they were shown on national television, crying in the stands as the game was still playing out. The game hadn't even ended yet, and the cameras are panning through the stadium. CBS is looking for these fans, and there's Cowboys fans crying and weeping. They can't believe that they're going to lose. And they lost. And listen, hurts me more than anybody else. I had them in my bracket going pretty far.
Which we're going to take a look at after. The thing is, though, in their heart of hearts, every one of those fans, they knew. Whether it was that game or the next game, they're used to it. They've seen it. In their heart of hearts, they knew what was about to happen.
So are you bringing back Mike McCarthy? You're Jerry Jones.
Am I bringing back? If I'm Jerry Jones, glassy-eyed Jerry.
If you are Jerry Master J Jones, are you bringing back McCarthy?
I am not.
No, I'm not either.
But Jerry is. I have no doubt the Jones are going to stick by their man. But I do think quietly, though, this next season is it. Either it happens or he's gone. I don't think he shouldn't get another year after that, but I think there's no way he signed a 5-year contract before last season. There's no way he's finishing that 5 years. I think he's got one more, and the Jones are like, we're done. So
yeah. So was this his second or third year that he just? I
think this is his second season at the.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
And I know that's a little quick. Yeah, I know that's a little bit quick in the world of the NFL, but here's the thing:
Cowboys
loaded with talent on both sides of the ball. Yeah. They are loaded. They had a nice season. Their record, I think, 12-5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Listen, it could have been 13-4, but either way, they were up there. They had one of the best records in the NFL, loaded with talent. And they squeaked some games out. Lone Star told you that. We watched it as Patriots fans when the Patriots almost came back and beat them. Mike McCarthy's not my guy. I'm shocked that he comes back for a third year. But you're right. Jerry Jones will bring him back.
Yeah. So you were right. 12-5 on the Cowboys, especially when you've got, what's usually indicative of how your team is doing or is when if your coordinators are now and they go into the offseason and are highly sought after as head coaching candidates in both Moore and Dan Quinn. That says a lot based on their talent and how your team could and should be doing, and maybe the issues are in other places. But yeah, let's all right. So let's dive into a little bit, do a little quick preview on this weekend's games. Again, divisional round, AFC. You've got 4 seed Cincinnati going to the number 1 seed. Tennessee had the bye. First question I think everyone has basically is Derrick Henry ready to roll? for Tennessee. I mean, off that with that foot, it's I don't know. Like,
I have no feel on this game. I have no feel. Listen, Henry or no Henry, I'll be honest with you. Even if Henry plays, I'm always leery of a running back coming back after a long layoff, hamstring. I'm really leery of it. I always have been. I can't pick this game one way or the other. Cincinnati, no chance going into Tennessee. At the same time, Tennessee could be too well rested, and they don't have a superstar quarterback. I'm sorry. I like what Tannehill has become in the last 5 years. Credit to him, but I can't pick this game. Gun to my head, I'll take Tennessee just because they're at home.
yeah, I think for me, I'm taking. Well, I mean, you know what? We've even got. Yeah, so I think so. I have the Bengals beating Tennessee. I'm going to stick with that. Obviously, I'm going to stick with the Bengals. Tennessee. You had, I think, you actually had. All right, so you're the Raiders winning anyway. So you're taking Tennessee.
Yeah,
Sure.
Tennessee.
All right. I think the second game, AFC, we've got the third seed, obviously the Bills going to Kansas City. Question is that going to be a shootout? Is Buffalo kind of hitting their stride at the right time? It seems like they are, the way they've been playing the last month or so. But then you got them going to Arrowhead, which is always a tough road game, no matter what. They lost there last year in the AFC Championship, I believe. Can Kansas City stop this newfound rushing attack that Buffalo now seems to have as well as Singletary? I don't know.
Listen, the Patriots defense was terrible. A buddy of mine who's a Bills fan on Facebook, huge Bills fan, he posted a picture of his 3 kids laying down on the Bills logo outside of the stadium, and it was kind of just like a cool Facebook picture. The 3 kids are just laying there, and I commented, yeah, that looks like the Patriots defense from yesterday. I mean, listen, it can't get any worse than the Patriots defense. I think Kansas City absolutely shows up for this game. I'm going to pick Kansas City because I did, but I do not think Buffalo is as good as they looked last week. I think that was more of an indictment on the Patriots than it was an affirmation on Buffalo. I'm not taking anything away, Bills fans. I know you guys are super edgy right now because you actually beat the Patriots in the playoffs, but it comes to an end, I think, this weekend.
Yeah, I agree as well. I got the Chiefs moving on. All right, so we're going to jump into the NFC. I'll take our picks down here for a moment so we don't confuse ourselves. But yeah, basically, so we got the Niners, who obviously we saw just took down Dallas in quite the ending there. They're going to Lambeau, taking the Packers, who are coming off their bye. This game, I don't really know how to read. It's tough. It's like, can San Francisco ride momentum into Lambeau? Can the Packers D handle George Kittle and Debo, who's becoming like all world now? Is Aaron Rodgers' toe okay? Did the Packers get all their ownership shares back from Dak, who, as everyone knows, last week, at least Sundance as Dak proclaimed that he owned the Packers or was going to own the Packers. But probably not anymore. In a bit of humor there. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I think ultimately I'm going to take the Packers and move on.
It's an easy one. It's the Packers. Randall Cobb is reportedly trying to get ready for this game. Jimmy G nearly gave it away last week. He will give it away this week, only earlier. So this is an easy one. It pains me to say it, but this will be Green Bay running away with it in the third quarter.
All right, that takes us to the other side. We have the Rams, who took down the Cardinals last week at home, traveling to Tampa, taking on Tampa Tom. Comes down to, can Tampa be beaten at home? They've been gangbusters there all season. Which Stafford is going to show up? The one who played like poop for the last month of the regular season, or the one who looked very efficient and spot on, hitting all those throws last week against Arizona? You've got Cam Akers reigniting that offense, pairing up with old friend Sony Michel in the backfield. You got the the offensive line for Brady and the Bucs has been amazing. They lost Tristan Wirfs though potentially to a high ankle sprain. So how is that going to play out against the Rams pass rush? They may get Leonard Fournette back. I don't know. In the end, you got to take the Bucs. I think. At least
God, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the Rams go in and win that game. I'm going to be rooting for them. Because I'm over the Tampa Tom situation. I'm ready for them to lose and move on. But I think Tampa, even with limited resources and skill players and all the injuries and stuff, I think they'll find a way to win that game at home and move on another week.
We're in total agreement there. I'd love to see the Rams do it. They're not going to be able to. I don't expect OBJ to put up a second consecutive big-time performance. He just hasn't been able to do it for a long time. And Brady still has enough weapons to get the job done. This will be Tampa for me.
All right. We'll check back in next week, see where things land with those games, how our picks kind of shake out a little bit. We saw them for a little bit there, but really so we can just dive right into an exciting time for us here on the Dos Padres podcast. It is, we're going to be announcing the winners of our first ever Padres playoff giveaway. We did this on Instagram last week. We did a 3-day giveaway on Instagram where you go in, we post some cards, as well as some other stuff. And basically if you go in and you make sure you're following us, you tag 3 people, put this in your feed, et cetera, you're entered in. You got an entry in. We're going to draw from some names and we're going to see who the lucky winners are. So day 1 was, we actually were giving away honoring one game each of these first 2 days. This was the San Francisco Dallas game. We had a Brandon Ayuk 2020 Illusions rookie card. We had a Micah Parsons 2021 green Prism Draft Picks rookie card. Nice hollow there, silver. And we had a CeeDee Lamb 2020 Mosaic NFL debut rookie as well to give away.
That's a hot card.
There were some nice cards. I thought they were at least, but so we'll go ahead. What we're going to do to announce this is to pick the names. We're using Wheel of Names. A lot of people use random.org. This feels a little more fun, playful, colorful. Ironically, there's only 4 names that qualify for day 1 of the contest. So 1177 Natalie, Dewey.52, otherwise known as Lone Star Al. No, we're not rigging it for friends of the podcast. Tom Sliney and the Run-In Pod, who may or may not be the same person. That's okay. So we're going to shuffle these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to spin the wheel, see where it lands. Day 1 winner is the Run-In Podcast. Cue the applause. There you go. Run-In Pod, you're going to be getting some cards your way. Tommy Paradise, DJ. All right, so we're not going to have repeat winners. So that we're going to take Run-In Pod out of the mix for day 2. Now, day 2, same theme, but this one was going to be a little bit different. We went ahead, we elected 3 cards. Get them up here. So this time it was actually going to be, we were kind of playing off the Philadelphia Tampa Bay game. We've got a Jalen Hurts 2020 Illusions rookie card, a Devontae Smith 2021 Prism Draft Picks rookie, well, Tom Brady 2020 Mosaic Got Game insert. And on top of that, we were adding in a $10 Fanatics e-gift card. So, I mean, why wouldn't people clamor to get to be a part of that Sundance? Well, unfortunately, only 3 people did. Those 3 people were actually the Run-In Pod, Tom Sliney, and 1177 Natalie for the podcast. No, really.
Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
All right. Tom Sliney wins day 2. Yay! All right. Make sure to DM us to claim your prize, Tom Sliney. Funny thing, day 3, we can go ahead and get rid of this because day 3, only one person actually entered, and that was a fan of the show by the name of the_real_tease-offs. So the real tease-offs, you by default win day 3 giveaway, which was, wait for Sundance, day 3 was, oh, that's right, the day 3 was the Patriots quarterback pack. It was a Drew Bledsoe 4 Skybox, a Tom Brady 2015 Panini Donruss, and a Mac Jones 2020 Prism Draft Picks All-Americans insert rookie card. Congratulations, the real tease-offs. Make sure to DM us or get a hold of us on social to claim your prize. So, all right, congratulations to our winners. Resounding also success on this giveaway. Can't wait to do more. Yeah. All right. On that note, Sundance, let's get into some much-needed fun.
Look at this, look at that. Now it's time to sit and chat about this, about that. It's this and that.
Dos Padres. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into our this and that Celtics Trade Edition. This should be a fun one. We are going to have a little fun, this or that style with the, granted, it's trade deadline is not for a little ways off, but it's kind
Celtics are looking at things on the table.
Yeah, so if we're going to do it, I think now's the time a good time to do it. So we're gonna do 3 back and forth, this or that. So Nance, I'm going to let you take the honors. You can lead off.
All right. So here's the first hypothetical scenario for this or that. And it's really going to be this or that or something, because there's actually 3 options for you here.
So you're already breaking the rules. Got it. Okay.
Here we go. COVID hits, right? And the Celtics are down to 5 active players for tonight's game. They need a bench. They need at least 2 players. And the Maine Red Claws are actually stuck in a blizzard up in Maine, so they can't call up any of those guys. You can sign, okay, a 2-for-1
Love those 2
duo. Any of these duos, who are you going to sign? A, the Obamas, Barack and Michelle. B, the Mannings. Or C, the Williams sisters. This is going to be your bench.
Serena and
Venus.
Venus.
Yep.
I mean,
Unless you're aware of other Williams sisters that are out there.
I'm sure there are plenty, but it's a very common name. Yours is even a derivative of. I would. I mean, fanboy or not, I mean, it's got to be the Obamas. I mean, Barack and Maul.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelle, you don't even have to play. She can just be there as a roster requirement to meet the minimum. But I mean, she might play too. I don't know, but I know I'm taking Barack hands down.
Love it.
I think granted, he might have to take. I don't know what he's smoking these days and how often. He might have to take. He may have to come off frequently. I don't know what his cardio is like at this point, but I mean, I think he can at least put up a J. So yeah, I'm taking the Obamas.
Love it. I actually think Michelle plays a lot out there with Barack, and probably they probably got a good pick and roll, a good screen game going. So I like it. That's where I would have gone as well.
I think they could secretly throw some quiet elbows too, which I think will help on the defensive side.
Yeah.
All right. Good one. All right. So we were thinking alike on these. So this one I'm going to start with pretty simply, but it's going to be you're probably able to answer pretty quickly, but I'm throwing it out there just for some fun. So you can only trade for one of just 2 players. You can only trade for one of them. They're both a problem child, either in general or within their organization. You can only trade for one of these 2 problems. Which one is it? This hand, you got Kyrie Irving. Bring him back home to Boston. On this hand, we're taking Ben Simmons from the Sixers. Which one do you got?
Oh, Ben Simmons. You don't even have to. Okay. Oh, God. Are you kidding me? Kyrie,
he may
that
never
dumpster fire. Oh,
he may never play.
Oh, God. Kyrie
might play half the games.
Yeah, listen, he'll make a cameo in my third this or that. Don't you worry. That guy, I could never, ever envision him again in Celtics green. And if they ever did anything like that, I'm mailing it in and rooting for the Charlotte Hornets or Bobcats or whatever the heck they are.
Sometimes you gotta do some uncomfortable things when you're trying to win a title.
Easy. Simmons.
All right, number 2. What's your second? This or that?
Number 2, the Lakers call.
Oh, okay.
Jerry West has an option for you here. They're looking to unload Westbrook. You may have heard the rumblings. He was benched last night.
All I heard.
So there's some issues there.
Yeah.
The Lakers will take back either Smart and Freedom or Langford, Pritchard, and Time Lord. And you have to make this trade. Who do you trade back to the Lakers? Who do you send away for Westbrook? Do you send Smart and Freedom,
right,
or Langford, Pritchard, and Time Lord?
Smart and Freedom. Done.
Wow.
Smart and Freedom.
Really?
Yes.
Smart?
You can't afford to lose. Let's say you can't afford to lose Time Lord. Robert Williams.
We lose him every other game right now to injury.
Well, right, but I think losing him as entirely will throw off. Like, there would have to be another move queued up to bring someone in the middle. Like, Smart's been such a subject of rumors and trades for like going on 2 years now. At this point, it's like at least you're replacing him with a guard.
Sure.
So if I have to make this trade, based on positional swapping and freedom, I mean, everyone loves freedom, literally and rhetorically. But yeah, it's got to be. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Did not expect that.
Good one though. All right, so mine is going to be. We're going to venture more into the realm of not realistic, but nonetheless a little fun. So going back to your earlier scenario, COVID has ravaged. It's ravaged the team. It's ravaged the league to the point where David Silver has actually allowed the team or the league, teams in the league, to go ahead and make trades. Not even just with each other, but with other non-NBA organizations for help. Okay, you can now bring in non-NBA players to help you short term. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and make a trade with SAG, the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
Okay, to bring in one of these two beloved Boston area actors. You can trade for either Donnie Wahlberg or Ben Affleck. Who do you got?
Jeez, both those horses got some miles on them. Respectfully, I'm gonna, so it's tough because Ben is actually gonna draw Matt Damon into the front row every night.
So you're thinking more about filling seats. But
Donnie's going to bring in his brother Mark, who's certainly going to have a front row seat as well. This is a tough one. I am going against my better judgment here. I'm going to go with Donnie. I'm going to go with the new kid on the block. But you also do get the new kids on the block. And they'll be the halftime show. So that actually
Donnie not just to sub in and play. Then he's gonna dance and sing in the halftime show, and then you think he's gonna be able to. You think at him at his 40-something years, after the halftime show, he's still gonna be able to play in the second half. That is.
I tell you what, he's got the right
optimistic.
stuff.
That's optimistic.
He's got the right stuff.
I hope we have a defibrillator on the bench. That said, I probably would agree. I don't know what kind of shape Ben is going to be in. I don't know if I'm going to get Batman Ben. I don't know if I'm going to get sad and depressed and alcoholic Ben. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm going to get Ben. I mean, if you give me Ben from 20 years ago, if you give me Ben from Good Will Hunting, I might take that, but I'm not sure. So I think the safe play is Donnie, because I bet he can still shoot a 12-footer. Done. All right, number 3. What do you got? This or that?
All right. Again, out of the alternate universe, Vladimir Putin texts you. He's willing to back
That's
off.
my number.
He's willing to back off the Ukraine.
God, I don't have a burner for this. Okay.
He's willing to back off the Ukraine in exchange for one NBA superstar to add to the Russian Olympic team. The player to be named will never return to the United States ever again. Who do you send? Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant?
And we can't just give Putin a promise that we'll make Comrades of Summer 2. Like, we have to actually give him a... We can't just... All right.
He has no faith in that handshake bargain.
I mean, former CIA or KGB agent. I mean, why would he? I think so. We have to give him Kyrie or Kevin Durant, and they're there forever.
Correct. Forever.
I mean, who is more insufferable? I mean, how do you choose? Can we bargain to give him both?
No, because they'll never come back, and you cannot take one and keep them for 25 years and then send the other one for the other 25 years. Nope, it's one or the other.
Oh, they're playing on the Olympic team. So we're going to
Correct.
see them, well, if that team ever were to qualify, we might see them in some international competition. Not that, I mean, all it's going to be is a laugh fest anyway.
Hey, the comrades of the Olympics.
You know what? I'm going to go off the path here, and I'm actually going to go Kevin Durant because I would like to see him wearing one of those giant, fuzzy Russian red star. Yes. And I want to see him in his large, long, frail body shivering through 8 to 9 months of cold weather in Mother Russia and see, maybe he might be nicer to people when he has that perspective. So
Interesting.
send Durant. Get him out of here.
Love it. Good call. Wasn't expecting it. I thought it'd be the Kyrie Express, Polar Express. But
Well, then with Kyrie, if Kyrie stays, then we have something to complain about.
there you go.
Like weekly. All right. This or that. Last one. All right. So, again, trade edition. In this case, we can't pull off a trade. We're just can't pull off a trade. We need to look within the extended Celtics family for some help because we're ravaged. Do you take, and we need help at every position, as we know. Do you put up the bat signal and bring Brian Scalabrine in off the desk to play it forward? Or do you get yourself some guard depth and bring in Abby Chin?
Kind of a pick'em, a little bit of a toss-up. Abby Chin looks like she could ball. Scal, I tell you, man, he looks fit. He looks trim. He's got the hair plugs going on, so he'll look good under the bright lights. I gotta go with Scal, the redhead. It fits the Celtic, pedigree. He won't last long. He's gonna get hurt pretty quickly. I'm only saddened that we can't bring Tommy Heinsohn, back from the other side.
The ghost of Tommy Heinsohn.
The ghost of Tommy Heinsohn. Because that would be pretty cool. So I guess I'll go with Scalabrine.
I mean, we could go outside and get Heinsohn fan favorite Walter. But Walter's in some
trouble. I'll do you one better. I'll get off this path, to borrow your phrase from the last question. I'm going to do you one better, and I will see your Scalabrine and raise you an Abby Chin. I'm actually going to go back to 1970 UMass team, and I'm going to take Rick Pitino to come back and play some guard for these Boston Celtics.
Oh, so the younger svelte, cardio induced. Okay, Rick Pitino, not the Rick Pitino who himself will be walking through that door, gray and old. Okay, just to clarify, we don't want gray and old Rick Pitino.
Correct.
That might
He's
be
still
it.
alive. So.
That's what I hear. All right. Well, that was fun. This or that. Celtics edition. I'm willing to bet as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, we're not going to see any of those transactions happen, but
never know.
Maybe something possibly close as ridiculous. But all right, so that basically wraps up our show. But before we go, I just want to throw a shout out to everyone who continues or will be at some point supporting the show. We appreciate it. Reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Don't want you to miss a show. If you're listening on audio, please go ahead and rate and review. We are available on most of the main podcast providers, as you see in the ticker below. If you're watching this, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, etc. Make sure you're following us on social. We're going to potentially at some point be doing more of these giveaways, hopefully with more people on Instagram. The number 2 Padres Pod on Instagram, Twitter, even TikTok. Again, still working on some dancing crazy videos. Haven't happened yet. That's coming. Those Padres Podcasts on Facebook. All part of the World Takeover. Going a little slowly at this moment, but we're still trying to take the world over. Get a ride on this train, or at least get a reservation, buy a ticket, whatever. We'll save you a seat. All right, so next week we are going to be back talking probably some Celtics or Bruins. We'll see where the week takes us there because the Patriots are gone and there's nothing Red Sox related to talk about. We're going to check in a little bit more on the NFL playoffs and potentially come up with some other fun games to play. Maybe this and that. Maybe a top 5. Maybe something new. Who knows? Come back, check it out, find out. All right. That's the Sundance Kid. I'm Major J. We collectively are the Dos Padres. Hasta two sueños. Get some sleep. We're about to. And we are out.
Once again, leg it out.